For a little bit of background, I am an account executive and fundraising strategist at Funraise. We are so excited to be partnering with Daxko to help you all bridge the gap between members and donors, and even just help boost overall fundraising. I've been with Funraise for, gosh, it's now just under 6 years, and I've spent that time really getting to know my nonprofit clients, the challenges that they face, and ultimately helping them resolve those challenges through innovative technology partnership. Again, I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you all for being here. If I look familiar, maybe we've met at NATO. Maybe my name has popped up in your inbox over the last 6 years. In fact, I already saw a few folks that I've been chatting with or current customers that have popped up in the chat as well. So just really thank you for showing up. I want to provide 3 very practical strategies that my clients are currently implementing for turning members into donors, and specifically boosting annual campaign revenue. So those 3 strategies, we're going to be looking at, first and foremost, peer-to-peer. That is my all-time favorite way of fundraising. Specifically, we'll be looking at how you can activate peer-to-peer fundraising with your annual campaign, or even leverage, like Constance mentioned, some of those staff members or other folks that want to be involved through peer-to-peer fundraising. Number 2, and probably most important, is not just asking for the donation, but communicating the impact of a donation, the why. So Constance touched on this as well. We're going to see how we can tie in technology to do that also. And then thirdly, might seem like a no-brainer, but making it as easy as possible for donors to give. You're putting in this work. We are stewarding these members. We're driving conversion. The last thing we want is for that experience to feel cumbersome. So today I'm actually going to screen share and show you some real life examples. In fact, I think at least one team member from the example that I'm sharing is here. So kudos to you. We're going to be showing you off a little bit. We're going to start here with the Los Altos Family YMCA campaign. So this is part of the YMCA of Greater Long Beach. Shout out Long Beach, lived there for many years. Glad to see your team is here. This organization uses Funraise in conjunction with Daxko to run their annual campaigns. And this is for their multiple branches. To date, they have raised over $1 million and have grown their revenue 160% with our tools. So they're a prime example of how to put these strategies we've discussed into action. We have tons of clients that are doing this, so shout out to you all, but excited to see how others might get inspired by this as well. But so what you're looking at here is that campaign page. This is built on Funraise, which made it really easy for them to launch a professional landing page for their campaign. As we take kind of just like a quick cursory look at this page, we can see that it's well branded. It's very clear in terms of who we're giving to, what we're fundraising for. My guess is most of you all are joining via laptop or desktop, but I'll take my word for it. It's also very mobile friendly. And what I love about this is we can already see they are more than halfway towards their $300,000 goal here. So yay to that. And they're putting into work the 3 strategies that I just mentioned, which are peer-to-peer fundraising, spelling out impact, and making it easy to donate. So first, along with really clear donation options, this organization is encouraging their members or supporters or staff members to create their own fundraising pages. This is what I mean by peer-to-peer fundraising. So we can see lots of individuals here have created their own pages. Each of these fundraisers have their own goal that is contributing to the overall fundraising goal for this campaign. As an individual, they can create their own pages, share why they're fundraising or why they care about the why. This fundraiser gets extra bonus points for sweet photos included. But what I love about peer-to-peer fundraising is it really enables these fundraisers to activate their own communities. I mentioned that it's one of my favorite strategies for fundraising, and that's because, while this fundraiser may or may not have had $12,000 check to write to their YMCA, he certainly has 39 folks in his community that have helped him reach that goal. And peer-to-peer campaigns are an excellent strategy for member-based organizations because they enable your members to do more than just donate. Your members can now be reaching new donors, new potential members, and giving you a larger reach and therefore a larger audience to steward. It's easy to see the impact here. We can see the donors giving to this fundraisers page. These donors gave to this annual campaign because this fundraiser asked them to. Your community is full of potential donors, and your current members are some of the best ways that you have to reach those potential donors organically. Now, if we go back to the campaign page here, let's look for strategy number 2, which is communicating the impact of a donation or contextualized giving. So as we scroll through this page, I can find that very, very easily here. These donors gave to this campaign because folks asked them to and because they understand why that gift is needed. Constant mentioned this, but there are members that give fees to your organization, of course, and not all members understand how or why their donation is needed. So impact sections like this that clearly spell out and educate to members how else they can support your organization are a great way to start that conversion here. Rather than just asking them to, hey, make a donation, ask them to make a specific impact. Hey, help us grow our aquatics program. This communication can help strengthen the relationship with a donor because they have a better understanding of how they're actually empowering their community. These days, people want to know how their gift is making an impact and where those funds are going. So we can make that really clear. We can really kind of dive into the emotional context that drives donor conversion. And then if we're looking at the third strategy here, it's a great example of making it easy to donate. So we can see quite a few calls to action, quite a few ways where we can go and give. Again, I mentioned this before, but the biggest reason that people donate is because they were asked. The next biggest reason is because it was easy to. They were able to do it with the amount of attention that they were willing to give that task. And let's face it, these days, there's a lot competing for our members' and donors' attention. So I recommend asking yourself, when members visit your site, are you making it easy to donate? I would recommend walking through your own giving experience if you haven't lately. Is it loading quickly? Does it play nicely on your cell phone? How much friction is there from start to finish? Does it take you very long to complete that gift? Can I use Apple Pay? That's my preferred way of paying. But all of these things are things to consider and review. And when we look here at this campaign site, we can see that they're doing just that. So this opens to full screen over the site itself. If they aren't making an impact amount, they'll be able to select their amount. And what's great about this form is there's a variety of bells and whistles that can be added, like dedications, comments, automated company match. Plus, like I mentioned, a ton of payment methods. So Apple Pay is one of those, crypto, stock. Again, widening the variety for folks to be able to give. This form in particular is built to increase conversion as well. We see about a 50% conversion rate with this donation form, which we're really thrilled to see. And then it's also a great representation of recurring giving. They've got kind of all the options turned on. That way a donor can select to give a monthly, quarterly, or annual gift. And now there are a ton of features in this form that can help support recurring giving, like upsells. I'm not going to cover all of that today, but what I will say is that the main point here is that it's easy to donate. And it's worth noting too that this donation experience, while we're looking at it in the context of this annual campaign, a lot of our clients are also bringing this over to their homepage so that they can have that same experience embedded just on their site. That way, no matter where your members are being called to ask or give, they can do that directly. But I promised a couple examples, so I also want to show their Camp Oaks annual campaign as well. So what I love about this is we're kind of shifting gears. We can see the design has changed, but the strategy hasn't. So this organization is very, very close to completing their annual goal here, which we're excited to see. And we can see that they're celebrating donors as they come in. We're educating folks as they go to the site to learn more about the programs, the camp itself, and we'll see all three strategies in action here. So up first, really easy to see that they're clearly communicating the impact of a donation. $750 is going to provide a full scholarship to a camper. $500 is going to empower a counselor in training. So check mark, we see we've got clear communication of impact. If we scroll back up, we can look for fundraising here, and spoiler alert, they've got that turned on as well. So we've got individuals contributing to this campaign. With these fundraisers bringing in not only thousands of dollars, but again, new potential donors or members to this campaign as well. So A plus on that. And then because we already know this is a campaign site on Funraise, we know that that giving experience is going to be really pleasant and easy to navigate. So again, a really good example of all three strategies put into action. Now, I want to shift a little bit of gears here and show you how these are actually built. It's actually much easier than you might think. First and foremost, our clients are not having to build these pages from scratch, if you're wondering. We offer templates that come out of the box that can provide our clients with a good base point to just start plug and playing their own images, logos, and design into these pages. Now, they can be as binary as this. We also expose all the code if you've got a coder on your site that wants to get even more flexible with it. But to give you a quick peek behind the curtain, so to say, I did go ahead and just recreate the site that we're looking at. This took me about 5 minutes to pull in their photo, add their logo, and customize the color here to match their brand. But what you're looking at, again, is that site builder. So as I hover over every component here, really easy to go in and make changes. If you've ever built anything on Squarespace or Wix or anything like that, you'll find this really intuitive. Personally, I had not, but again, really easy to go in and do. If you click the plus sign, you can add more components. So you know what, let's add our impact tiles here. Maybe we've got 4 different asks. We can go ahead and add that very easily. Again, I'm not a whiz at this, and to do this in front of a large group and talk at the same time, I think just goes to show how easy it is to go in and add those 3 strategies. You can turn on that peer-to-peer fundraising. We've got built-in emails to send out to those fundraisers so that they're staying on task throughout their journey of fundraising. Again, from a branding perspective, you can customize it with your fonts, your sites, your colors there. So there's a lot that I could probably go into on this, but that kind of covers the 3 areas that we're looking at today. And if you want to learn more, of course, you can do that. But we've talked about strategies, we've talked about fundraising channels. The last kind of unspoken piece to all this is really being able to measure and report on performance. So campaigns are, of course, an active living thing. So while sure we can look at the data at the very end of a campaign, that doesn't do us much good if we can't look at it live and in real time. So what we recommend is using a fundraising performance dashboard where you can review overall performance of a particular campaign. You can rally, of course, behind your successes. Hey, we had a really awesome day. Or make adjustments in real time if you need to. So what you're looking at here is, again, part of the Funraise platform where you can start to see some of the intelligent dashboards that we have. What we're looking at here is an example of like an annual campaign dashboard. So you'd be able to see things like general stats around like how many donors do we have for this campaign? How many of those are recurring? Maybe we should reach out to those other 15 and see if they'd consider a larger impact. You can track how you're progressing towards your goal. We can see how much we're raising by day. Also, if you're not tracking retention year over year, you could do something like that here. It's a great way to see if donors are returning each year, or you might have a high priority list of people that have given but haven't given again yet this year. Again, closing that gap with those percentage of members to donors. Also, if you've activated peer-to-peer, which you should, if you're implementing these strategies, you can also track performance here as well. So number of fundraisers, how much they're raising, signups per day. Looks like 6 p.m. tends to be a popular time on a Tuesday. Let's make sure to send out an email at that time. You'll also want to be sure to thank your top fundraisers and have an eye on them. Maybe celebrate them at your next event, whatever it might be, but you'll have the ability to do that within a performance dashboard like this. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I really could talk about this probably for way too long, but I know we've got limited time here. I see lots of good questions coming through the chat, and we can open it up for that there. But that said, again, if you want to learn more or pick my brain, you certainly can. Let me pull up our campaign here and we can get back into the dashboard. But ultimately, I'm just excited. I hope that you're feeling inspired by what we've shared so far. I hope that you can kind of see the overlap between the strategies that Constance shared and the ways that you can tie or leverage your own technology into this. And I hope you're feeling excited to start seeing kicking things into high gear when it comes to leveraging your members, growing your fundraising. Um, we've got our integration coming up very, very soon, so we're excited to dive into that. And again, like I said, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions here and dive in there.
Yeah, and I want to add just a little bit more on the integration because I see some of the questions about what is the integration coming. I'm very excited to share that it's actively in pilot right now, and which means it will be we're on track for being live this summer. So there will be a lot more information. We want to make sure we get you all the latest and all the documentation you would need for all the details of that integration. But I am like thrilled to say again, genuine smile, you guys, as a fellow fundraiser, to say that it's in pilot with a goal of this summer. So there'll be a lot more coming on that soon. I also want to go through let me see, go through, you guys, roaming through the chats here. I've tried to keep up as I can. I don't know if some of you on the call know this because I recognize some of your name, but I love the data question. There was one about where did the 6, in no particular order, I'm gonna jump around, where the 6 to 7% came from. That's of all active households as of right now. So I've pulled this number dozens of times. I used to pull it about once a month, and then it stopped changing on me for like 10 years. I mean, I can go back and re-pull data. And that's the median. That's truly a median. So I don't know if you guys know that that's literally the midpoint. It's not overly, conflated by outliers there. So what that means is that whenever we pulled this number, and again, as recently as Q1 of this year, it was of active units in Daxko operations. And again, that's across any type of nonprofit that leverages it. So that'd be YMCAs, JCCs. It's very large. So we've got a really rich base there to go off of. It has an active member also logged a donation, and then over the course of their current membership, have they logged more than one? So that is, we can re-pull it again, but we're really hovering with that as a very common midpoint, 6 to 7%. I like to say 6 to 7 because on a good year, we get closer to 8. And then when I kind of look at those high performers as we're pulling data, we have some organizations that I've actually had conversations with as recently as April that says, help, we're at 2%, we're at 3%. And then we've got some who were those best practices from what we represented today in the call came from where the way they're training their staff to be, in the ways that we talked about the front end. Those are the ones where I mentioned, if you look at that other end of the spectrum, they're up around 17 to 20. But to answer where that data came from, it is from the hundreds, the aggregate analysis of the hundreds of organizations who log into the system. So let's see, we've got that it's in pilot right now, active development, more to come this summer. And then the data question, I'm going to jump around. Let's see, do you see any you want to tackle, Dani?
Yeah,
and then I'll jump in. We can go back and forth.
Just asking about manual entry. And
yes.
I see, thank you for our current customers to answering questions. You guys are hired. But yeah, so the goal is upon release here, that manual entry will not be needed. So typically what I'm recommending is schedule some introductory calls now if this is interesting. And then as we kind of roll through this conversation, we'll be rolling it out so that all of this information will pass over into Daxko seamlessly. You can still use Daxko as like your ultimate source of truth, be able to see programmatic and membership data, and then also be able to see that fundraising data come in and kind of help fill the gaps when it comes to the fundraising areas that that we know are needed here and that are the reason that we've kind of chosen to participate in this partnership.
Okay. Let me roll through here. Other stuff. Hold on, I'm going from the bottom to the top.
You're fine. I'll chime in with ones I see too. It looks like, in terms of those sites, that our clients are building those. We provide the templates for them so that you don't have to start from the ground up. But all of our clients are empowered to be able to go in, plug in their own images and logos. We have some clients that do have like web developers and get fancy on those, but most, like myself even, just pulling in their own photos and logos, matching the hex codes to their colors, and having something set up like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see a couple comments, which I completely, I mean, I love raising a hand on this, like asking about pricing or investment beyond what you're already doing with your current solutions. Really want to honor those and just say that the best thing that we can do is we'd love to talk to you about that in follow-up, and also to mention that as we coordinate and work, Daxko loves working with, and I say that as somebody who truly, I'm just gonna say me, loves working with other partners and developing things for you guys and tools for you guys to use. So when it comes to anything like us being able, our solutions being able to integrate with text or being able to work well with Funraise, we always want to make sure that we know that we are addressing any questions that you have around pricing to be really industry standard, to cover the things that we need to do in order to provide them to you and make sure they're really best and operational. So that's always a conversation that we're willing to have, 100%, like, able to follow up on any of that. Any questions? Let's see. Yeah, so I see some of those. We will be happy to have that conversation. Other questions that we want in here to do. Let's see, integration dates. All right, well, for those of you who are still on, if there are any other pieces, I will go through again as we're presenting. Dani and I kind of scrolling through the chat. We will make sure if there isn't something that we addressed, that we close the loop with contacting you on the answers to those questions. Really want to leave you with the fact that we are so excited to be able to work really closely together and to partner and work with many of the wonderful solutions in the nonprofit space so that each of you can succeed. And it's been a pleasure to spend this afternoon with you. So thank you so much again for your time and your hard work and all that you do for your organizations.
Yep. I second that. Thanks everybody for being so lively in the group chat. It's what I will say too is you will get a copy of this webinar after this. So if there's anything you missed or details you want to reference back to, you can do that. And again, feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about anything on the Funraise side. I'd be happy to answer questions. We have a few different packages that can be tied in with the Daxko platform. Be happy to kind of determine what makes the most sense for you. And then of course, if you have questions for the Daxko team, I'm sure you have a representative there, but of course, Constance, I'm sure is a great reference or resource for you also.